everyone, it's Lottie. So this is part 2 of the video. If you haven't seen part 1, pop back and watch that first before you follow on with this one. And if you haven't seen the entire Moving to Phuket series playlist, I highly recommend that you watch the previous videos. You're going to find loads and loads of tips and advice on how to make a move to Phuket from the UK or any other Western country work for you and your family. In this video, this is part 2 as I said, I will be taking you through how we set up our lives here on the beautiful paradise island of Phuket. Grab a pen and paper for this one, there's lots and lots of very detailed information that you're going to want to make a note of. So enjoy the video. And of course, if you have any comments, any questions that you want to ask me, you can pop them in the comment section below, or you can follow me over on Instagram at Lottie Clary. Send me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Our first morning in Phuket started with us ordering breakfast. We tried one of the 2 main food delivery services on the island. There's Grab and Food Panda. So I think we tried Grab first and had them deliver a nice healthy breakfast to us. We were far too jet lagged to be using anything in the kitchen, so we were lazy and had them delivered to us. Shortly after we finished breakfast, our hire car from Nina's Cars arrived. Having transport, whether it's your own car or a bike or a moped, is pretty much essential in Phuket because the public transport is patchy and completely non-existent for most of the island. If you can hear a weird noise, it's the fan. I'm not switching off because it is like 33 degrees today, so we'll just have to put up with that. So yes, public transport is not great, particularly now that the island is filling up with people, expats and also tourists. So you need to have your own transport really, unless you're willing to rely on taxis. There are a few taxi services here. So again, Grab does taxis and Bolt, and there's a few others, and you can also use the Phuket taxis, although I recommend you don't. So if you don't want to rely on expensive taxis, then get yourself your own transport. Another tip with this is I recommend you organise that before you leave to come here because of the amount of people here, it is a little more difficult to find a car that's available for you to hire or a bike. So have a look on Facebook. I recommend Nina's Cars, they were really good. And book yourself a couple of weeks so that when you get here you have a bit of time to search around for something more long term. So after our evening swim, which was lovely, it's nice to go in the pool even at night time because it's so warm here. You know, it never really drops below about 26 outside, even first thing in the morning it's still warm. So we had a nice relaxing and refreshing evening swim, then spent the rest of the day just relaxing on the sofa watching the TV, and Finn fell asleep. So it was an early night for us, and by the morning we felt a little bit better. So that was the final few days prep and the journey. I've got to say it did go much more smoothly than I expected. I think that's massively down to the fact that the first flight was a night flight, so Finn slept the entire time, which is great. So if you're traveling with babies or toddlers, definitely recommend you go for a night flight. You will be tired of course, but they will be asleep, which is perfect. I just watched some movies while he slept. So yeah, it went a lot more smoothly than I expected. I was expected to come across some issues, but really I can't think of anything. It was fine. Let's cover now some of the main issues that we've come across since we've arrived in Thailand. So I'm going to break this down into sections and we'll talk about each one in turn. Of course, if you have any questions about anything that I cover, just pop them in the comments below or go over to Instagram and send me a DM and we can chat about it. Let's start with everyone's favourite, visas. So visas tends to be the number one thing that I get asked about from people who are thinking about making a move to Thailand. It has a reputation as being the most difficult aspect. Please bear in mind with my advice is based on my experience only with the ED visa. If you're looking for a retirement visa, a long-term residence visa, elite visa, volunteer visa, or one of the many others that you can get, I'm not really the person to give you advice on that one, so I definitely recommend that you talk to a visa agent. Don't try and do this yourself. It is possible, but do yourself a favour and get a recommended and registered visa agent to help you with this one. So for our ED visa, we were going to be using a company called Let's Go Language School, I believe it was called. So Adam had been talking to them leading up to our leaving day, and they'd said, yeah, no problem, we can sort out a visa for you. Here's the fees. We'll get it sorted as soon as you get to the island, and within 2 weeks you'll have your visa, which sounded great. Unfortunately, as soon as we got here, they said, sorry, we can't help you anymore because our allotment of visas has run out. They've all gone. So we did a bit of scrambling around, went to see one particular person that didn't work out, and then I was recommended a company called TMT Visa Services. Thank you for that excellent recommendation, because we went to them and it got sorted out really quickly. Thankfully, they still have a quota for visas. So let me explain what's going on. So basically, most of the ED visas are gone. There's usually plenty for people who want to come in, learn Thai or learn Muay Thai, or just get the education visa, just pay some money and get the education visa for 12 months. Usually there's plenty of those going around, but at the moment there's a huge, and there has been a huge influx of people coming into Phuket from Russia fleeing the war. So all these Russian people are applying for the ED visa, which has taken up the quota of all the language schools on the island. So luckily TMT still had some available. So we've applied for that. At the moment, because of the volume of people applying, it takes around 6 weeks to get the visa, whereas before it was around 2. So we are having to wait longer, but the whole process when we were in the office was easy. We filled in the forms, gave them our passport photos, showed them our passports, paid the money, and they said they would be in touch when we needed to go to immigration for our immigration meeting, I guess. I guess the only negative effect of the visa taking longer than expected is that Star cannot come and join us just yet. So we cannot import Star, that's our cat if you haven't seen my previous videos, on a visa exempt or a tourist visa. It has to be a proper visa. So we can't import her until that's sorted. But that's fine, she's staying with my mother and father-in-law, so she's fine, she's okay, she can wait. Hopefully we'll still see her this year. But if not, there's nothing we can do about that, so we just have to accept that and move on with it. Let's do accommodation next. So as I said in my previous videos, we booked 5 weeks in a villa with Airbnb for when we arrived in Thailand to give us time to find a long-term villa. This did not go smoothly as we expected. Again, this was completely out of our hands. There was torrential rains in Phuket just before we arrived, like in a week or two before we arrived, they'd had terrible rains and lots of the island were flooded. So it turns out that this villa that I'm in right now didn't survive the rains very well. So you can't see right now, I'm not going to turn the camera on because I don't want to mess it up, but there is a villa tour that you can see over on my Instagram account if you're interested. But there's a wall that backs onto the rainforest, I guess. But the wall used to be not very high, like only this high. So the water poured from the rainforest down into the pool and into the garden area and completely wrecked the outside of this villa. So thankfully they've spent the last few weeks building up that wall, and it managed to survive the torrential rains we had a couple of days ago. But this villa was not habitable when we arrived. So they popped us into a different villa just down the street, much larger one, really nice place, and told us after 5 days that we could move back into here, which we did. But unfortunately, when we moved, the pool was still completely full of mud. So we had to have a few days with no pool. Annoying, but again, you know, there was nothing we can do about that. So of course the point of having a villa for 5 weeks is to give us time to find somewhere to live for the next 12 months. I used a Facebook Marketplace to arrange viewings for villas. I think I messaged about 30 different villas and heard back from about 5 and viewed 1. So that wasn't great. We viewed the villa, it was very expensive. Another side effect of all the Russian people here is that there's huge demand for property. There's not much there that's available. What is available is very expensive. So if you're coming here, be prepared for that. There's nothing that you can do about that. If you want to come to Phuket right now, you have to be willing to spend 2-3 times the amount on accommodation that you thought you would be. That's just the reality. So I also recommend you do not use Facebook Marketplace, because it became obvious to Adam and I that the people who are listing properties on Facebook Marketplace are usually not the owner or not an agent. They're just a random person who's found a property that's been put up for rent. They copy the photographs, they create a listing, and they organise for you to view the place in the hope that they'll get like a kickback from the owner or something if the property is rented out. So I recommend that you avoid Facebook Marketplace, or at least approach it with caution. The best thing you could probably do is to find a reputable agent, ask around people who are here already, ask on Facebook if someone could recommend you an agent, get them to organise viewings for you so you don't waste all your time basically looking at properties that aren't going to go anywhere. We were really lucky in that we found somebody on Marketplace that had a property that organised for us to go and view it, and that's the one that we went for in the end. So I think we're in the 1% of people who actually got anything out of Facebook, so please approach it with caution. The best thing you can do is to find a reputable agent, so ask on Facebook groups like if you want to be in Hawaii like we are, join the It's a Hawaii thing or something like that Facebook group, and ask on there for a personal recommendation. That's probably the best way that you're going to get some joy from this process. Of course, I will do a full tour of our home once we're in and it's all set up, and I'll pop that one on Instagram. Next, let's talk about cars. I touched on it a little before when I talked about Nina's cars being the people that we got our first vehicle off. A small note to make about the car that we got from Nina's: it was a bit beat up. It had a few bumps and scratches. That's totally normal for Phuket. Once you get here, or if you've been here before, you know what it's like. The roads are not the safest in the world, and the driving is pretty different to what it is in the UK. So it's taken me the last few weeks to get used to how to drive here versus how to drive at home, and it is very, very different. So it was a bit beat up. It made some funny clunky noises. So after 2 weeks we returned it and we got ourselves another car. Adam actually organised that. I'm not sure who he used, but if you want a recommendation, I'll certainly ask him. And it's a lovely car. It's a Mazda 2, and we got a really good car seat, safe car seat to put in it for Finn, and we've been really happy with it so far. We have it for 3 months while we decide whether we want to rent long term or whether we want to buy. So we've got a bit of time. Once we're settled into the new house, we'll be able to figure that one out, and of course I'll report back on it. Next one, bank accounts. So if you're coming here for any length of time, you're probably going to want to open yourself a Thai bank account, because using your card from the UK here in Thailand, you get charged. So yeah, it's fairly easy actually. I was expecting it to be a bit more difficult. So to open a bank account, you're going to need a few bits of documentation. This is Thailand and they love documentation. So you need to take with you, and remember it's Bangkok Bank that you need to go to. You can only, as a foreigner, you can only open a bank account with Bangkok Bank. So we went to the Patong branch of the Bangkok Bank, and we took with us Adam's passport, because I think it's just in Adam's name, Adam's passport, a report that we had to go to immigration for. So this is like a residency report, so it says where you're living. Some people can get that from the owner of the property they're in. Ours didn't do that, so we had to go to immigration to get that. I'll talk about that more in a minute. So passport, your report of where you're residing, a Thai phone number. Adam has that. He got a Thai SIM when we moved here. And you have to buy health insurance, I believe, which was I think it was somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000 baht, so it wasn't cheap, but that's kind of how they make money on giving bank accounts to foreigners. So you need to take all of those things with you to the bank. You'll sit down with somebody. I think we sat there for about an hour. She went through filling in the forms, asking us questions, and then she gave us a bank card and a bank book, and we took that away with us, and we had a bank account. You can get that on your tourist visa or visa exempt. then if you're going to get an ED visa or a different type of more long-term visa, you can take that back to the bank and update it, and it will give you I think a larger deposit amount and a larger amount that you can take out money per day. But even with just on the tourist or visa exempt, that was quite a lot. It was more than we need. So yeah, it was an easy process. I want to mention a couple of things about immigration. So we went to the immigration office in Phuket town. I was expecting it to be hell on earth basically, but it wasn't. It was busy. It was definitely busy. We were there about an hour, I think. So not bad at all. It's well organised, really, really well organised, and they have people there that speak many, many languages. So you can get some help in your own native language if you need it. You basically take a ticket and sit down, and then they'll call you forward and you go and tell them what you need. I think it cost about 300 baht for the report. They're supposed to give it you for free, but of course this is Thailand. They love taking money off foreigners, so it's easier just to pay it than to make an argument about it. So 300 baht, you get your report and you take that with you to the bank to open your bank account. Easy. Let's do phones next, as I did mention about Adam's Thai phone number in the previous section. So sorting Adam's phone was pretty simple. He had a pay-as-you-go SIM in the UK, so he just took that out and put a Thai SIM in. I think the SIM he uses lasts for 3 months. He gets unlimited calls and texts and data with that SIM card, and it doesn't cost very much at all. I'll just ask him how much. Adam, he's swimming in the pool, you know, first world problems. I don't think it worked out more than about £6 or £7 a month for that. It's really cheap. So for my phone, it was a little bit more of a complicated process because it's in contract back in the UK. When I took it to be unlocked and put a SIM in, they said they couldn't do it. So I had to pay off my contract. So unfortunately, I had to call EE from here. I can imagine that was quite an expensive call, and they sorted it all out for me. They just said, here's your final bill. At the end of this month, I'll be able to unlock my phone, put a Thai SIM card in, and away I go. Bear in mind that when you get a Thai SIM card, you will have to change your phone number. You'll be given a Thai number, so your old phone number will have to go. I don't know if you can keep your SIM and use it in the UK. I'm not techie, so I don't know that one. But bear in mind that you will have to change your number with people. Okay, food next. So yes, prices are more expensive here than we were expecting. Most places are up and running again, little cafes and restaurants and stuff like that. And of course they've increased their prices because they have to make up for what they lost during COVID, and you can't blame them for that. But be prepared to have more money in your food budget than you expected. COVID pricing is officially a thing of the past. The great thing about Thailand, Phuket in particular, is whatever cuisine you're wanting on a particular day, you can pretty much find it quite close to your villa. As I said at the beginning of the video, we've used Grab and Food Panda to have food deliveries if we're too lazy to go out. Both have been absolutely fantastic. I recommend Food Panda because they give you more updates on when your food's going to arrive, and I think they have slightly more choice on there. But when you're out on the roads, you see pink Food Panda people or green Grab people all over the place. It's really popular here, and you can get absolutely anything you want delivered to your house. So yeah, there's options if you want to go out and eat, and there's options if you want to stay in. Let's move on to kindergarten now. If you're coming to Thailand with children in tow, then this is going to be something that's really important to you. Getting Finn settled in his new kindergarten was the top of our agenda, of course. We decided to have him start 2 weeks after we arrived, so we gave him 2 weeks to change his body clock to Thai time so that he was going to bed at reasonable time and getting up at reasonable time and wasn't too tired. He did that easily within 2 weeks. In fact, he was pretty much there after 3 days. So we chose Finn's kindergarten for a number of reasons, and I'm glad that I did do that in a few months in advance, because I think if we just arrived at the island and tried to get him in there, there wouldn't have been any places left. It's absolutely full. So yeah, well done me for preparing that in advance. So Finn's kindergarten is only 10 minutes probably away from our new house in rush hour traffic, so it's nice and close. It's got lots of outdoor space. I like the way they teach. It's like very progressive. They're quite child focused instead of just saying this is what we do and that's it. They're very child focused, so they're flexible. If kids don't want to do this, then they can do this, and you know, there's flexibility there, and a high level of care as well. Also, he gets to do football lessons, which is very important to him, and swimming lessons. They have a couple of swimming pools for the kids to use. At the moment, I'm picking him up at lunchtime. I'm literally the only parent in the whole school that does that, but I'm not quite ready for him to be there all day, every day. So he goes in the morning, I pick him up, and then if he has extra swimming or a football lesson, I'll take him back later on. Actually today, it's Friday, and I decided to give him the whole of Friday there. So I said to him this morning, let's see if you enjoy staying all day. So it's a bit of a tester to see how he does and how I do, whether he sleeps, whether he gets upset. So I have my phone with me at the moment all the time, just to make sure that teacher message is saying that he's upset so I can go pick him up. It's just a tester, and we'll see if he does well, he can do every Friday there. We've also just found ourselves a lovely nanny. So she will be coming to look after Finn on a Saturday, so that Adam and I can have a date night every week. So we're starting having her just between 3 and 10 on a Saturday. She'll play with him, swim with him, give him some tea and put him to bed while we're out. And if they bond and get on really, really well, then we'll have her stay overnight and get up with him on a Sunday morning so that we can have a lie-in. All right, this is the final section that I wanted to mention. I just want to talk a little bit about shopping. If you've been to Phuket before or Thailand, you'll know that there is no problem at all finding what you need here. There are plenty of shops of all descriptions. For food shopping, we tried Macro first. Macro is really good for price. I would say it's probably like the Asda of Thailand. So it's good for price, but not so good for the range of things that you can get there. So if you're just wanting to go for like vegetables and fruit and meat, you can probably get most of what you need from Macro without any problems. For me, I do my weekly shop all in one go, so I need to be able to get all the food, all the drinks and all the household items that we need. I wasn't able to do that at Macro, so I tried Lotus. Lotus is like the Tesco of Thailand. There's a big Lotus in Geelong that I go to on a weekly basis, and I can get everything there that I need. It's huge and it has a great choice, a great range of products. I would say it's a little bit more expensive, but not too much more. So highly recommend Lotus. If you're looking for things like clothes, toys, things like that, or homewares, then Central Phuket, there's a few Central Phukets around the island. They're like big shopping centres. Pop over there and you're going to find what you need basically. They also have really lovely food courts, and the one that we went to has an aquarium in it. So if you've got kids and you want to entertain them during the rainy season, or you just want to give them a little treat before you drag them around the shops, then that location is a really good one. They also have a kids club, I think it's called Happy Kids Club, where you can drop them for a couple of hours and go and do shopping and then come back and get them, which I think is a great idea, and I'm definitely going to utilise that with Finn at some point. If you're feeling lazy and you don't want to go to the shop, you'd rather do online shopping, then you could use Lazada. So Lazada is the Amazon of Thailand, or the Amazon of Asia basically. It has everything on there. So many things that you just never even thought existed. I've seen the most crazy stuff on there. But yeah, it's great. But the only problem is, if you're used to Amazon Prime like I am, it can take a few days or a few weeks for your items to arrive. So if you need something really quickly, you're going to have to go to the shop to get it, because you're not going to be able to rely on Lazada to get it to you quickly. That's the only downfall. There's another online shop that I want to try as well called iHerb. So if you need supplements, baby stuff, any pharmacy items, things like that, health things, then iHerb is the place to go for that. Again, massive range. I just made an order yesterday from there, and it gave me a 4-week delivery period. So it's the same with Lazada. That takes a little while. iHerb takes even longer. So if you desperately need stuff, you're going to have to get in the car or on your bike and go and get it. But if you can plan ahead, which I recommend you do, you can get anything you need on iHerb. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching my third and final moving to Phuket video. I wanted to finish off this video by saying that yes, it is everything that I dreamed that it would be, and more. If you're considering getting out of the UK, who isn't, or any other part of the world and coming to Thailand, 100% I recommend that you do it. With a caveat that Right now, it's expensive and very busy in Phuket. It's high season, that's just started, so that has an impact in it. As I said, there are lots of Russian people that have left their homes and come to Phuket. That's pushing up the price of property, pushing up the price of food, pushing up the price of everything. So just bear that in mind. This is not a budget location at the moment. So if budget is something that that's something that's very important to you, then if you could wait until January, when the high season is starting to end and lots of people likely will have gone home, that could be the best thing for you at the moment. However, if you just can't wait, then come over. Just make sure you get somewhere to stay and a vehicle booked before you come here, so that when you arrive you don't have the stress of having the pressure of finding something in a very, very competitive market. And also make sure you pop back to watch my 2 previous videos. There's tons and tons of advice in there about making this dream a reality for your family as well. If you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing lots and lots of Phuket related content in the coming months while we settle in, and I'd love for you to come along on the rest of the journey with us. You can also find me over on Instagram. I do post on there really quite often. My villa tours are there if you want to see them. I also post about the restaurants and cafes that we go to, so you can get a good idea of what's on offer here on the island. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.